Cool. Really excited about this one. It's actually, I don't know if anyone's been paying attention. It's our first episode back since August. We've been sitting down. We went back to the drawing board, kind of planning for the future. And this is the 200th episode for us too. So it's a big
Oh,
mile marker for us. But we have Sweet Pill with us, Jayce Zaina. New music's on the way. I believe songs are already out. One song, right? Am I wrong with that? Two songs. So okay, so we're up to two songs, preparing for an album, and that's the reason we're here today. But I guess I'll start with the cliche question. So you're a few records in, right? What makes this one special to you? Because I'm sure they're all fresh in the beginning, but as you start to creep away from them, I'm sure that itch to create new music starts to kick in. What made this one, when you look back at it 10 years from now, what's going to make this one special to you?
For me personally, it's like a culmination of like hard times. I feel like I was going through some major changes. And so 10 years from now, when I reflect on this and I see this album, I'll be like, ha, I thought I was struggling then.
Ain't that true? What about you, Jace?
so this is actually only our second full-length record. We have other stuff that's come out since our first album, but in an interview that we did recently, Zaina talked about how this is the first record where, like, full-length record that the band fully worked on together. Where the Heart Is, some of the songs were written before this lineup of the band was made, and like we tell people that like when this lineup of Sweet Pill came together, this is really when the band started, even though we were like a DIY local band before that. So, this was like from the beginning of the drawing board, like five people in a room together working out and, a 13 song record, which was going to be 14 songs, but then we combined two together. Like, yeah, like we all come from different worlds of music or have different inspirations and influences. And I think that it really shines through this record. It's different sounding from other music we've put out. And like Zaina, who doesn't play an instrument in the band, I mean, obviously her voice is an instrument, but she's just involved in the writing process as the other guys are that are playing physical instruments. And like, yeah, I know this is a long-winded answer, but the last thing I'll say on that front is, I compare it to like painting a painting. Like one painter is painting on a canvas, but like imagine five people like bumping elbows on that same canvas. Like you're bound to like butt heads or like disagree on something or want it your way. And like we have navigated through that, I'd say, with grace, considering like the product. Like we're all super proud of what we made.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, at the end of the day, music is art. It's a creative side that you're expressing. But I did hear that in another interview I listened to where you kind of talked about, this was a college band, correct me if I'm wrong. And then after COVID, after the pandemic, everything started, it just felt like it was going downhill. It was like everything happened fast for you. That's when everything became serious for the band. It's interesting to hear that like this is the first record where everybody, I don't want to say had a say in it, but like it sounds like everybody collaborated in some form in this record. What was that process like going from, college band where you're probably just messing around in maybe dorm rooms or at someone's house to actually starting to take it seriously, and next thing you know, you're probably in a studio, and you said that you handled it with grace, which is not always the case for a band, because everybody's an individual at the end of the day. Everybody has their own thoughts, and sometimes when they feel like their thoughts aren't being heard, or maybe someone else's thought is being held on a little bit of a higher step than the other band members, it might be, I don't know, insulting in some ways. How did you find grace in working together like this, and what's the steps been to getting to this point?
Hear you, Jace.
You go ahead first.
I think we all are friends. I mean, a lot of bands are like, yeah, these are my best friends. But I think we don't hesitate to say what we're really feeling. There may be some times where like we do hesitate, but I think at the end of the day, at least, me and Jayce, I can tell Jayce anything. Jayce can tell me anything. I just think there's some form of underlying trust beneath all of us. It's funny, I think the easiest thing we could do as a band is make music. We all like collaboratively make music And I think that is the part when we least butt heads. And that's like nuts, because that's when I've written music with other people, it's so hard. But for some reason with us, it just works. And I think maybe creative decision making is what you're describing. Like everybody has an opinion. Who's is better than the other? You can't say, but we all take the time to talk to each other and just make sure that we're heard, I think.
Yeah, and like you talked about like the graduation of, it's funny to use that word, like going from a college like DIY band to like a more professional band. Like when we took those steps and grew, the responsibilities that come with it, like writing music is maybe like a third of the job. Like there's so much more to it now, and it's like become a pretty well-oiled cog, that like we have like managers and like a booking agent and a great touring crew, and like it works. Like it's a business, and like it like requires so much more care and understanding from each other than just like writing music. And yeah, there was another thing I wanted to say about it.
Maybe it will come back. I'm happy you brought up it's a business, because I think of that. I think of the early days for musicians, and like when you're playing in your room, and it's like the greatest thing ever, and all you want to do is just play music all day long and just grow with your instrument or grow with your vocals and become the best version of yourself. Zaina, I actually listened to one of your interviews, and you said music is one of the only things, I don't know if this is exact words, but one of the things that brings you happiness in life. Or you might have said the only thing that brings you happiness. I forget what the exact words were. But when it does become a business, you have other people involved, managers, band members, even. You're traveling the world. There's an expectation from your band when that happens. Yeah, Jayce, go.
You just brought it back. This is the first time we're releasing, maybe not because we put an EP out after we've had some attention, but this is the first full-length record we're dropping where there's anticipation. When we put Where the Heart Is out, which was our first record, we put it out to like ourselves and like the little small community, DIY community we were a part of. And that was like a way different experience, because it was like this thing we worked on for literally years, and we knew it was special. And like, I hate to say this, but COVID helped us. We finished writing that like in quarantine, and we were able to like give it time and let it breathe. And that also hindered us in some ways. Like we didn't really play these songs live. So when we recorded it, it was just kind of like fresh off the dome. Like we wrote this song and then we recorded it. And I think with this new record, we had a lot of fun because we have been touring nonstop globally, where we had the opportunity to try these songs live a lot. And so like that changed the way they sounded, and the like intention. And so like when we went to record, it was a different product.
Yeah, I'm really excited to hear what this product is. It sounds like you guys are excited, but just kind of going back to what I was saying, like happiness seems like the reason people get into music. For a lot of people, it's the first time in their life they feel like a connection to something through music. I don't know if that was the case, because I often hear in interviews like the outsider approach. Like, people didn't have their group growing up. And then they went to a show, and for the first time, they felt like they belonged. I hear that so much in the music community. But, if it's something that brings you happiness and it starts going towards like a business side, how do you protect that piece where you still keep the innocence of what you're creating and what you're playing?
It's hard.
I I'm so I say this so many times to sweet, like whenever we have band meetings or whatever, I'm always like, I don't care about views. I don't care about like money. I'm making art. And I always say that like over and over again, because of course you know, we have to like, it's a business. You have to think about staying afloat. So I can't be completely oblivious to that. But at the same time, I make sure to prioritize stuff that speaks to my heart, or something that makes my heart ache, or just makes me feel something. I usually prioritize those feelings first. And I think the band does too. I mean, even just by the music the boys make, it's emotional music, just even without my part added to it. So we're all in the business of making sure it's still artistic.
Yeah, like I think, we mentioned the business part because it's like what makes this stuff sustainable, and like we're not out here making $1 million, so we're still roughing it. Touring is expensive, recording, being an artist is expensive, living is expensive, but like, yeah, you need that sustainability in order to like live as an artist in this day and age. And I'm grateful that I have an opportunity to do that in the first place. But like, yeah, I stay true to my craft. Like, I'm not just here pumping out music because we have to. I'm doing it because I want to.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're in a position where that a lot of artists strive for. That point where you're getting paid for your music, you're able to travel the world. To you, is this the fulfillment you were looking for, or do you feel like there's so many other goals that the band has that you still haven't met and you're just looking for higher grounds consistently, or are you very much in the moment with this band?
My one comment is you said travel the world. Traveling and touring are two different things because you don't really get to travel all the time when you're touring. That's my one comment. It's like, yeah, it's you don't always get to experience the things you want to
Yeah.
experience.
I have like a million answers for you, but I think what I want to focus on, the quote originally was that I singing, like playing music's one thing, but singing is the ultimate joy. I love singing. It's just something belting, something about it. It's like something is clicking in me. I'm feeling it. It feels great. I think like how people love to run or like people love to like do things. That's just one of the things I love. And that's the most fun I can have. And I still have that feeling with or without the success of Sweet Pill. I think if Sweet Pill's playing our local DIY gig, I am having just as much fun as when we're playing Warp Tour and there's like more people than I can see. And it's still fun. And I think, if that's ever lost, then like what am I doing? And I think, I want to address that there's a lot of like really awful things happening in the world and specifically in our country. And it just sometimes it feels kind of really surreal that I'm in this position with this band in the world that we live in, that I'm able to have a voice with this band. And I don't know, I feel kind of crazy to be where I'm at with the people I'm at in the position that like the world is in right now, because there's so much joy to be had, but there's also so much like it's hard for me to enjoy it and celebrate music when the world, like this country, is like a dumpster fire. So it's like a weird juxtaposition. That's why I said I have a million answers for you, because I'm so stoked about Sweet Pill and I feel like we deserve it. But I also feel like what can we do? What can Sweet Pill do now that we're in this position? And I think that's like our focus has just shifted from DIY world into like we have a voice and a platform, and what do we do with it? And I think that's what this album cycle is honing in and crafting as well, is like what are our voices and how do we use it?
Yeah. What will you do? Are you looking to get connections through what you're saying in your songs and your music, or are you looking to do something more? I know that's probably a tough question. It's a broad question, and it might be something that, swimming around your head and you might be doing in the future. But is there anything out there right now that you have been thinking about per se?
I have a quick answer, Jayce, you want to answer, but I just wanted, like, I've been saying to the band too, it's like, what can we do more than just music? Like, what are ways that Sweet Pill can, like, be involved in things that's outside of performing, outside of listening to music? Like, we're still people. And Jason said it earlier. It's like playing the music is just like 30% of being in the band. What can we do outside of it? And we're trying to work some things out. We've been reaching out to people who are successful in their craft and like people who have other voices in their industry, and like we're, I don't know, making connections. And I don't know, that is kind of a broad answer. I just don't want to answer because we are working on stuff and I don't know if it'll come through or not.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity, but like specifically with our voice, I think that I handle some of the band's social media, and in some recent posts I've been like, hey, it's a really weird time to be promoting something. And like we are going to still promote what we're working on, but like we're going to acknowledge like, an ICE agent like murdering someone in cold blood in the streets. And we talk about a free Palestine, and we talk about, other things that we align with that we believe are, injustices in the world or in our country. And Zaina has done a really good job when we're on stage, like making it known that like the space that we create when we have a show is safe, and it's like for people to celebrate. And going off of what you said earlier, Zaina, and like what Chris, our drummer, has said to us in private, like in a band practice, was like, because we have this conversation internally, like we ask ourselves these questions, and it's like one small service that we can do is that like we do create that space. And like sure, it is really hard to be celebrating anything right now because of the state of the world, but the fact that like we can get people in numbers to like feel something in a room still means that there is hope. And I think that's a motif in our record. And like it's a two-way street. Like sure, like I get on stage and I'm performing like this really vulnerable thing that I share with my bandmates, and it's really nice to see people like experience joy from that. But like I experience joy seeing that joy.
Yeah. No. That's like an important part. Sometimes you don't have to make a really grand gesture, or you don't have to like do something like big. Sometimes just being confident and just believing in yourself can inspire other people to do the same thing. And I think that's my takeaway with Sweet Pill this year is I just want to make sure everybody feels good enough, that because that's a struggle I have. And again, this world is not easy to live in, and there's a safe space you can come to. You can be yourself, and you can leave feeling okay being yourself in this crazy ass world.
Yeah, confidence is so big in anything that you do in life. And that's another thing that, like, for me, that pops up in interviews is like when I talk to, it's incredible, honestly. Like when I talk to some musicians, specifically like front people, vocalists, growing up, they were maybe not the most confident people in the world, but once they got on stage, they just overcame all those frights that might come with public speaking. And they were able to, they overcame it. And now, X amount of years later, they're doing it successfully. Can you think back to like, because like you're in such an important role now where like you said you do have a voice, people do look out for what you say and the music that you put out there. Can you think back to like when you were in college and you were forming this band? Was there ever like the goal of getting to this point, or was it more just like let's just play and see what happens? And can you remember like some of those early days where like you were performing in front of people? Did you always have that confidence that you have now?
The answer is always for me. Every single person in Sweet Pill always wanted to go this far, and frankly I want to go farther and farther. But an early memory for me, I was always singing in choirs, and I just love singing. And I was always playing music in some way on stage in school. And I remember I got my first role in our musical. I was an understudy, and I got to perform 1 out of the 6 shows, and it was my first time, and it was a big auditorium. I think there was like, man, there's at least like 200 people in there as parents. And I was itching for it. And I actually just talked to my therapist today about this. She just like followed my band. Like she never followed Sweet Pill, but she followed us. And she was like, damn, girl, you are a different person than you present. And I was like, yeah, I'm this confident person. That is who I want to portray as Sweet Pill. I want to be this confident person, but when I'm not on stage, I'm not that person. I'm somebody else. And it's because these different scenarios invoke different things out of me. And I don't know, being on stage is something I always wanted to do. Short answer.
I have
Go on, Jay. Sorry.
No. I have a different relationship with the stage. Like I love performing, and I love like the things I mentioned before of like the back and forth of like the crowd engaging and then I'm engaging with the crowd. But I like don't like the spotlight. And so it's really nice to have a front person that's like the front person, and I can just be like seriously like stoked to be on the sidelines, because the joy that I get is like I don't want that position. I'm so happy to like be able to work on my art, and everyone in the band gets acknowledged for their hard work. But like I think that if I were in like your shoes, Zaina, like I would not know how to handle that kind of attention. And like I've seen you and our bandmates have these crazy ups and downs with like confidence, where like you are like different person on stage, and then like with the like throes of life and like the difficulties of this fucking crazy job that we like.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And I think that in this interview, it just made it more prevalent knowing that like people only know us from the stage or from social media. Like you don't see all the other stuff. And I hope that like whoever's listening to this like gets a better insight on what it's like to be in a band because it's a lot more than that.
It's a relationship with 4 people. I am in a polycule relationship. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It feels that way. It feels like marriage because like we all are so reliant on each other to do this like common goal.
Yeah.
That's nice to see, teamwork and, a group that's like-minded, has the same vision, but also acknowledgement's really nice. And I love hearing about the therapist story because it sounds like, her saying what she said, it really was like, oh, shoot, like I am on stage and I am this confident person, but going back to the record, so actually, I feel a little embarrassed I didn't throw the name out there. The record is still There's a Glow. It's going to be released March 13th. Really cool artwork, by the way, on that cover. To my knowledge, you actually created it, right?
No.
Oh, no?
I do a lot. I do all of I do the layout of the vinyl physical artwork.
And
but yeah, I do all like our merch and digital art. But this guy, his name's Carrie Dunn, and he's painted every single one of our covers.
That's cool.
But yeah, based off of what he's painted, I've like created everything else. But the covers untouched, strictly Carrie. He's so cool.
Yeah, he does a good job. How's that work, by the way? Because I see a burning house right on here.
Yeah.
Do you just send him what you're looking for, like a few bullet points, and he just sends back artwork, and you're like, this needs to be worked on a little bit. This wasn't really what I was thinking. That looks great, actually. Like, are you throwing like feedback throughout? Like, how does this vision come together?
Initially, because he did Where the Heart Is, he did Star Child EP, and now he did Still There's a Glow. Initially, we just tell him what the album's about. I tell him like what I'm singing about, like what things repeat. Like throughout the album, I'm singing about burning, fire, smoke, things like that. I also do mention like burning the house I grew up in, and I say a line, "My mouth is a torch," in a different song, and he really stuck. I didn't even tell him my favorite lyrics. I just sent him the lyrics, and he stuck with that line, "My mouth is a torch," and
So it stands out.
yeah, so that's where that thought came from. And it's kind of like regurgitating this childhood home you grew up in that's like burning to flames, insinuating change in this real ethereal space. It's like real daydream like, real dream like, which again in the album I speak about like sleeping and like waking up and daydreaming, and it's like in space. It's like he captured so many aspects of what I was saying subtly in this one distress, weird, awesome painting.
I guess he has a job for the future too. He's doing it so far. Yeah. So there's 2 songs out, No Control and Glow. You said it was what, 14 songs on this record?
13.
13, okay.
There was, but we decided that 2 together felt better.
And okay, so 13 to some, if you believe in it, it's an unlucky number, but we're not going to think about that. This is going to be all luck here.
I am going to cut you real quick because there's a song called Jinx, and the lyric is "Bad luck's all that I got," and it's motifs of that. And the album is coming out Friday the 12th. Wow. There is a lot of dots connecting.
That's awesome. One of my favorite days of the year when Friday falls on the 13th. Actually, I think the Friday the 13th grounds are in New Jersey, right?
Wow.
Camp
I didn't know that.
Up where I grew up.
I didn't know that.
Have you ever been to it before?
No, I haven't. Like the summer camp?
Yeah.
No, it was like literally like maybe a 15-minute drive from the house that I grew up in, but I went to a different summer camp.
Okay.
I don't think my mom sent me to a different summer camp because she was like freaked out by the movie. I just think it was probably cheaper. But it was like a nice camp.
So you went to a summer camp that didn't have a serial killer with it.
Well, I don't know if it was like, is Friday the 13th based on a true story? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
But like it wasn't like, yeah, there's no folklore around it in the town.
Yeah. So Zoom always shorts me. So I'm going to ask 2 quick questions on the record. When I think of podcasting and I think of the interview, I always think back and I'm like, those are the clips I'm going to cut up. And that's what I'm going to advertise this episode with, because there are certain quotes that stick with you. I know a lot of bands, they like to say every song on the record is their baby. What are songs that stick out to you though? Like going into this record, it doesn't have to be what you think is going to be the most popular, but like are there any that are like extra special to you?
Hi, Jayce.
I think for me, it's the song, or for us, I don't know what your answer is going to be, Xana. It's going to be Letting Go. It's the last song on the record. And if you listen to Where the Heart Is, our last song on that record is like a really intense, emotional 2 minutes that, for whatever reason, it happened to be our most streamed song on some platforms. And so we felt the need when we were writing Still There's a Glow to end it with something special. And we were trying to like match that same energy. And it just wasn't like gelling. And so we just, had this idea that came from our bass player and it formed into this like really emotional, almost like ballad length of a song. And it's like, yeah, I think Zaina's lyrics on top of this music is like what makes it so special to me and just the sentiment. The song's called Letting Go, which I think is hard for a lot of people, myself included.
And that's the lyric with the album, like burning down the house I grew up in. But I think collectively our band would all say that song. Some of my favorites, I think that is my favorite song on the album, along with Jinx and What the Devil is Selling. But my favorite lyric is in the song Tough Love. And I say the lyric, I'm scared, but I'm not a coward. That is like probably one of my favorite lyrics I've written to date, because that's like, I think like I need to like hear that a lot. I think I need to hear that a lot to just differentiate like being scared and not doing anything about it. That makes you a coward, I think. Somebody who's scared and uses fear to stop them from doing
No
something.
regrets. I think back to
Yeah.
when I played high school baseball, I used to put on a little wristband, no fear on there because it was a
Yeah.
reminder that you got this, like you can do it. Um,
It's okay to be scared. It's so okay to be scared.
yeah.
But, just I don't think that should stop you.
It's an emotion. We're all humans. It's an emotion that everyone feels. It can't be happiness all the time. Everything's short term. But your record, your first full length like record was in 2022. This comes in 2026. I love that you talk about like COVID. It sounds like it gave you time to create that first record. But now you've been like touring for a few years. What was the reason? What was that whole process like? What was the reason for the 4 year? I know there's been stuff in between that you've released, but why is the full length record coming out now? Was it because of busy schedules, or was there other reasons?
It was both. We were touring. We come back for like a month. It's not enough to regroup, leave again, come back 2 weeks, do something that's a week long, and then come back. And then it's just these weird, odd gaps in time. And it's been nonstop since we put out Where the Heart Is. The guys were writing, and I just wasn't connecting with what was going on. And we scrapped a lot of ideas and kind of had to restart. So it was a culmination of like restarting halfway through the process and just starting the process so late because of not having any time.
Yeah, resetting after tour is like so difficult. And then, we usually we'll have like a month or a month and a half in between stuff. And like, even if the next tour is like a week or two in like a different country or something, like it takes just as much energy and power to like get through it. And yeah, I think that when we come home from a tour, it's just like our immediate thought isn't like, oh, let's get together and play more music.
Yeah, you want a break. Yeah. It sounds like it's going to be something special. Again, I go back to that because the momentum just keeps on building for you guys. I've noticed that since those DIY days to what you are now. But as we record, we are 58 days away from the release of Still There's a Glow. I'm excited. I'm excited for you guys. I'm excited for everyone that's about to listen to it. But we had Jayce and Zaina today of Sweet Pill with us. Really thankful that you took the time to sit down with us. Appreciate it, guys. Good luck with the rollout and good luck with touring this year. And good luck with everything in between.
Yeah. Thank you for the great questions. I enjoyed it. No, thank you for having us.
Yeah, stoked to listen back to this.
Yeah. Do I sound as dumb as